In 2025, your content strategy is either your secret weapon or your greatest liability. Here's why most strategies fail and how you can stay ahead of the curve. The truth, content marketing isn't dead. It's evolving, as it always does. Most creators focus on the now and forget about the long game. And let's face it, we're in business for the long game. And that's why their blogs stagnate, their videos flop, and their customers leave. Does that sound familiar? But here's one thing. Winning in 2025 is going to be about mastering the one strategy that outlasts algorithms, outlasts trends, and outlasts your competition. And that is timeless storytelling and customer-first content. A few years back, I met a startup founder named Maria. She had the tools, she had the team, and she had the ideas, but every campaign she was running fizzled out after a few weeks. It turns out that Sarah was creating content, but she wasn't focused on the long-term journey. So fast forward 2 years, and she's now running a newsletter with over 100,000 subscribers. What changed? Well, I created a long-term strategy for her based on consistent value to the people who read the newsletter. So to help you do that, let me look at the 3 key pillars to my 2025 marketing strategy that you can implement yourself. Number 1, evergreen value. In 2025, trending topics are bait, but evergreen content is gold. Think tutorials, case studies, and FAQs that your audience will need for years to come. While you talk about trends and things that are happening right now, remember, people will still be searching for good information for many years about topics. So understanding evergreen and evergreen value is going to be even more important than ever as we move into the future of search and content creation. For example, a blog post about best remote work tools from 2019 that we did is still generating traffic today. Why? Because remote work hasn't gone away and it's not going away. So people are still looking for the best tools to use to do remote work. To do this, you need to focus on content that answers questions that are always there, the ones your audience will have for years. And that's why they're covered in like how-tos, guides, tutorials, and resources lists. You need to regularly update older evergreen posts or videos to keep them relevant with new data and trends. So while the content is still relevant, sometimes the data needs to be updated to match what's happening now. For example, what was happening in 2018 is different to what's happening in 2025. You need to optimize your content for SEO by targeting keywords with lasting relevance, rather than just trendy buzzwords, which seems to be a common thing these days. Look at what people are looking for that has a long history of high ranking and lots of traffic. You need to build some cornerstone hubs that are linked to related evergreen topics, which will increase your attention and traffic. Now, one of the things we talk about is silos of information. So you might have a whole silo full of search engine optimization articles, or you might have a whole silo about writing blog posts, but tie them into those themes that are not going to change. Writing blog posts is probably not going to change as much as SEO. So writing content is a more evergreen topic, and that's what you're looking for. And lastly, you need to look at analytics to identify which evergreen content drives consistent traffic and replicate that success in other silos of information that you're producing. Number 2, you need to leverage multiple platforms. You can't rely on one platform alone. Your YouTube video isn't just a video. It's a podcast, it's a blog post, it's a dozen social media snippets. You need to be able to repurpose. And one of the key things about not leveraging just one platform is that the platform can change the algorithm. When they change the algorithm, that can completely destroy all your traffic and your tactics. So you have to start again from the bottom. So remember, don't just rely on one platform. That is a very costly thing to do. And I've seen too many businesses go down that path and lose everything. I had this problem myself with one of my websites where I relied on Google only for traffic, and it produced a lot of traffic. And then one day Google changed the rules and my site dropped to the bottom from number 1 in the world. And never came back up. It was horrible. And I've lost a lot of money because of it, because everything relied on that one stream of traffic. Repurpose your content into various formats. As I said, you can turn videos into blog posts or blog posts into videos. You can take snippets of information and make them into social posts, or you can take snippets of video to make shorts and reels. Focus on platform native optimization, and that means that you're optimizing for that platform, e.g., Instagram loves reels, so do reels rather than pictures. If you're going to get more traffic out of reels, then concentrate on reels, and so on. And that changes for every platform from time to time, and you will see those trends. It's not hard to find them, and if you think you're going to miss them, just do a search for current trends for Instagram or current trends for YouTube, and you'll definitely find some articles on what to look for. Use automation tools like Hootsuite or Buffer or one of the many other tools to streamline your content distribution across platforms. I use a tool myself called Hauck, and it allows me to load up my post and then send it out to multiple multimedia channels and social media channels at the same time without having to do any extra work. It's a fantastic tool, saves me a load of trouble, and is well worth the money that I pay for it. Make sure you maintain consistent branding, e.g. the tone of what you write, the design, the colors, the message, but also tailor that to match with the content formats that each platform's audience expects to see. So if you have certain colors that you use that are your brand colors, that should be consistent across all the work you do. For example, the orange color you'll see sometimes used in my videos is consistent across all my platforms, and that is consistent with my brand. And lastly, of course, test and analyze each platform for its performance and double down where you see your audience engaged the most. It's really important you get used to looking at statistics and analytics, because when you're looking at them, you're going to get the information you need to make the decisions to make more similar content to attract more traffic for your business. And number 3, most importantly, engage people through stories. Make it memorable. People don't just buy solutions, they buy emotions. Share stories that resonate. And what I mean by that is that your stories are what make people remember what it is you're talking about. For example, my story about my website that crashed in Google is there to remind you that it can happen. And when you think about putting your content onto different platforms, maybe that'll stick in your head, because I think I've lost around $1 million from that platform just because that one site fell out of the search engines and was never able to get it back in there. An example might be a product demo that starts with a story of a customer problem and then ends with their success. So I could tell you a story about one of my clients and say, I had this client who was an accountant. They were having trouble ranking and they were not getting enough business, but also they weren't getting enough of the right sort of business. So we optimized their website. We rebuilt the content, the front pages and the contact pages so that it was more conversion focused. And after doing that, we started to notice straight away that their traffic was increasing, their rankings were increasing. And the comments from the business was that because of the work we'd done, they are now consistently getting those regular clients that they want, ring up and book meetings with them to actually have a look at the books and see if it's a good match and they can work together. So stories make things memorable. And I'm sure that you've got 1,000 stories you can tell people. So where possible, open every piece of content with a compelling story, a surprising fact, an emotional anecdote, or a relatable problem. Center your stories around your audience's aspirations, pain points, and transformations. There's no use telling people a story about how your dog went for a walk to the park if they're interested in growing their business. If the two don't correlate, then it's not going to work for you. Make sure you incorporate customer testimonials or case studies to show real-world success. You want people to understand that what you're saying really does work. Use storytelling frameworks like The Hero's Journey, which you'll find in Building a Story Brand, which is a fantastic book. It talks about the structure to all movies, where the hero does this, then they do that, and then it all comes together at the end. Get to understand those story frameworks because it actually helps you structure your stories better. And it's an expected sort of style. You'll notice some movies work really well because they follow this framework, and other movies are not as good because they don't. So there's a lot to be learned about story frameworks. And lastly, keep your stories authentic and aligned with your brand voice to build trust and relatability. Don't just make up stories that have nothing to do with your brand. Make sure the stories are relatable. Make sure they're your stories, because your stories are unique to you. It's what makes you different to everybody else on the web trying to get business. In 2025, the most successful content marketers will be those who think beyond fleeting trends and algorithms. So by creating evergreen content that stands the test of time, repurposing it effectively across platforms, and engaging your audience through authentic, impactful stories, you'll build a strategy that not only drives traffic, but also cultivates lasting trust and loyalty. Remember, content marketing isn't just about staying visible. It's about staying valuable. So start playing the long game today and watch your efforts compound into incredible results over the years to come. So what's your biggest challenge with content marketing right now? Drop it in the comments and I'll answer them in a future video for you. Remember, strategies come and go, but value and connection, they last forever. Your audience is out there. Are you playing the long game to win their trust? If you found this helpful, smash that like button, subscribe, and don't miss my next video.